Alright, Josh here. So I wanted to take a quick video of the progress that I made on the greenhouse. As you can see it behind me, and now in front here. So I've got the plastic on, and I got some of the beds being worked on, and they're mostly done. So first I'll describe the process that I used to make the beds. So using 10-foot sections of PVC pipe didn't give me a really tall structure. So for example, if I were to walk in here, if you look at me, you know, the middle of the edges of here are really, you know, low, and you could bump your head on that. Now if you look down here, I've dug out the ground by about in some places 6 to 8 inches. Right here it looks more like 4 or 5, but if we look down here, down along the edge, like right here and stuff, you know, that's you know, maybe even 8 inches right there. And I did that so that I would have more height in the greenhouse, or in the hoop house, and so basically I just dug these trenches as a walkway in between the beds, so I would never have to walk on the bed. And I designed it so I have 1 or 2 narrow beds on each side. They're about maybe 2 feet wide on average. And then I've got one in the middle that is about 4 feet wide on average. Jeff Lawton calls this center bed here a double reach bed, meaning that you can reach to the center of the bed from each side, but you can't reach all the way across. And if you notice the wood on the sides, that was actually an afterthought. So as I was digging these trenches, I was piling the dirt up onto the beds, and I was realizing that I needed something to keep the dirt in place. And so I made these these really cheap, really ghetto form holders, so that the dirt would stay in place and keep the form of the raised bed. The other thing that I thought was interesting was the way that I had attached the plastic to the hoops on the side. So one of the problems here is getting good stretch. And it's not completely stretched. Of course, you're supposed to do this in warmer weather, and the day that I started to do it, it was sunny off and on, but when we actually put the plastic on, it started to hail. So that was pretty inconvenient. But what I did was I was having problems thinking about how to attach the plastic to the side, and so I was like, you know what I'll do is I'll take up sections of PVC pipe, I'll cut short sections of PVC pipe, and I'll roll the plastic around the ends of it, so that will give me a really strong attachment to the plastic, and give me the ability to tug on it really hard without actually damaging the plastic. If you just take your fingers and pull on this, wherever your fingers are, you'll get this little bulge, and that's not good. But if you use something like this and pull on the pipe that's wrapped in many layers of this stuff, you solve a couple of problems. One, you don't get any weak points when you put the holes in it to attach it, because you've got a really large surface contact area, so there's no strain on the plastic at the attachment points. The strain is shared along the entire PVC pipe section, and so that's what I did, and it worked out really well. As I was able to pull on it tight, and it got a decent tug. I still need to do the sides here. The other thing I did was on this back side, I dug a trench on the outside, and then I was just trying this because I saw the idea in a book, and I'm going to you know, just fill it up with dirt the rest of the way, and that will keep a really solid attachment to the ground, with the dirt, you know, over this amount is heavy. Now we don't really get that strong of winds here, especially where I've got all of the trees for windbreak, but so I think this should be sufficient. The other thing is that this structure isn't firmly you know, planted to the ground. It's really just setting on top of some rebar. And then I'll show you this other thing. So the overall idea for this hoop house I got from a website where a guy had built a hoop house structure. I'll put a link to it in the video notes. But the one thing that I didn't like that he did was the way that he attached his plastic to the end of his to the edges. And I think that I've got a much better method. So again, what I did was I took in this case a 2x4, or actually a 2x3, and I wrapped it around, I wrapped a plastic over it. So you can see here that it's just wrapped around there a couple of times. I think I got a couple of wraps. And what that gives me the ability to do is I can take and pull on this whole section here and not have to worry about tearing the plastic, because the load of the plastic or the stress on the plastic is going to be distributed over the entire length of the 2x4, not just this outside strapping that I've got on, or not at any of these joints. So these fastener locations aren't going to really have much stress on them. So the other thing I did was to actually attach the plastic securely to the board. Was I took this section of wood lathe and I attached it pretty securely with the nails and screws, so that again I have so that its attachment really has no stress points. And that's the key that you want, is you want to remove all of the potential stress points of the plastic, so that when there is a load on it, it's not going to tear at those stress points. That's the other reason for burying it in the dirt, is that when you have the dirt on top of it, there's no stress points for it to tear if there begins some big stress on it. And so parts of this, I mean, if you look at the top there, that looks pretty tight, but the edges here, the edges as you get down here, it's really loose. So I'll need to wrap these up again, one more loop, and tug on it really tight, and then find some way. And then I'm going to attach these. I'm probably going to go along inside and attach some metal strapping along the back of this PVC and screw it to this thing. I don't know if I'm going to actually firmly attach it, because the other thing that I have, the advantage that I have right now, is that I can just lift this plastic up. If my hoop house gets too tight right now, or gets too hot in the summertime, I can just lift this plastic up and secure it, say right here, with some hooks, and then I've got easy ventilation, and I don't have to really worry about that. And so that would be a really good feature for my hoop house. So besides just opening the doors or whatnot. So the other day yesterday there was sun, and I was looking under my beds here, and the heat that was coming out of it was just intense when I'd lift up the plastic. And it was only like 50 degrees outside, if that, when I was doing it. And so the hoop house, if it's going to be fully enclosed in the summertime, it'll get really hot. I think that all of the plants that I'll put in there will enjoy the heat, but if it gets like 140, they're all going to die no matter what. So I'll have to have some way to ventilate it, and so that's why I'll need one of the ends free. The other thing is I can make the ends that I'm working on now. I'll make the ends hopefully in a manner that they're easily removable. But all right, that's it for now.